You're listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe of Torch in Houston, Texas. This is the Jewish Inspiration Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Jewish Inspiration Podcast. We are in the 22nd Gate of the Orchos Tzaddikim, the Ways of the Righteous, in the Treasure for Life edition on page 683. We are talking about the Gate of Falsehood. What is falsehood? We know falsehood is when someone doesn't speak the truth. The Torah tells us, midvar, sheker, tirchak, from something which is false, stay away from it. Distance yourself from falsehood. Now, we're going to learn a whole chapter by the Orchos Tzaddikim about this topic. What does he say? Sheker da. Know about falsehood. Ki kasher yishkol adam kesev izov b'muznayim u'mavchin bein kal lekaved. When just as a person weighs silver and gold on the scales and distinguishes between the light and the heavy, kach yishkol ha'adam ha'chacham b'muznayim lahavin sheker v'emes. So too must a wise person always weigh the scales to understand truth and falsehood. It's an important tool for today. If we knew that, we'd be a little bit less anxious when we watch the news. You have to know what's falsehood, what's fake, and what's real, and what's truth. V'yesh chiluk ben sheker l'sheker. There's different types of falsehoods. Keitzad, how does a person do this? Ha'omer al eitz shehu zahav oso sheker yaduahu. So if someone says an obvious falsehood, which is that this tree is gold, it's a golden tree. So everybody knows that that's not true. There's things that everybody knows. Everybody is aware of that falsehood. Ha'omer al nechoshes klal kolal shehu zahav. Someone who points at something which is copper or brass and says that it is gold. Also sheker tzarech avchana. Well, that I need to look. I need to just ensure. I need to investigate a little bit just to ensure that it requires distinction, because sometimes they can look similar in appearance. Also sheker tzarech avchana ki yesh l'shneim dmus achas, because they have this meta look. So it might look. You might be confused whether it is or is not the gold or the copper. So v'yesh zayfanim ha'osim dmus hanachoshes kidmus hazav. Why? Because there's things that people can do that can forge gold. They can make the copper look like gold. So that a person needs to be a little bit more careful about, more scrupulous. And even some professionals can't just look and say, oh, this is brass. Maybe it's gold. They don't know. They have to. Sometimes they can be tricked as well. There are those who are very sophisticated people, and they can manufacture rationalizations to bolster falsehoods until it appears to be truth. It appears to be truth. It looks like it's true, and really it's not. But the wise person, mevin kol echad lahavdil ben hasheker ben ha'emes. A wise person is able to distinguish between what is true and what is false. And we need to be cautious. And we need to take the time to distinguish between what is real and what is fake. And this is something that we all know. That truth and falsehood need to be discerned in one's heart. The person needs to be careful and cautious. Sometimes they're a little bit attached and we're confused. It's hard to tell the right from the wrong. Yesh Adam Mizuyef. There are some people who are fake. They come across as they're con men. They're a con. They say, oh, I got this great investment for you. I got this great idea for you. And they're cons. They're fake. They're fraudulent. And there are times that you know that it's false. You know that it's fake, and you still get drawn to it. And many times where you'll have proofs to know that this is false, and still you get drawn in. Shedoma lios emes. It has we think that it's true, or we want to believe in it. We want to believe that it's true. And there are times that we will be drawn to this falsehood. But then there is a truthful person who will not be drawn after falsehood whatsoever, unless he can find some rationalizations. But the wise man, in his wisdom, will deny these rationalizations. So there's I give you an example. There are some times where we see things in the world, and you wonder, how do people think like that? Like, who thought that communism, for example, in the Soviet Union, who thought that was a good idea? Who voted for that? Who thought? And then you see there are people today who say, we need communism in New York City. We need communism coming out of our universities, etc. Right? Because even though they're intellectual people usually going into university, but they slip in some rationalization that this would be equality. And in a way, it almost like draws the heart. It's like, wow, we'll be able to make sure that there are no poor people. We'll be able to make sure that everyone has the same thing and no one's going to be better than the other. No one's going to be more privileged than the other. We have this rationalization, and then capitalism gone, freedom gone. We're ready to give away everything because of this rationalization. Which, by the way, Korach was a communist too. Kala Eda Kulam Kedoshim. Right? What did Korach say? Everybody's holy. We don't need a leader. We don't need you, Moses. We don't need you, Aaron. We don't need anybody to guide us. We're all holy. We're all equal. This idea, this flawed notion that there's something called equality. There is no equality. And this is the challenge that people have such a hard time with. We have so many wonderful people here on the broadcast. None of you are equal. You're all unique and special and different. And that's the beauty. If we all looked exactly the same, there would be no specialty. We wouldn't be able to feel proud. Look at me, I'm different. I'm special. But we have this false rationalization where we're saying to ourselves, no, it'll be good. And people can be, even sometimes intelligent people, can be drawn to such falsehood. By the way, we say that Korach was a communist. That's why, by the way, Moshe prayed. You see in this week's parasha, last week, and so many of the portions of the Torah where the Jewish people or groups of the Jewish people sinned. And we see that Moshe prayed to Hashem saying, Hashem, please forgive them. Hashem, please restore them. Hashem, let's find a way to get atonement. The Jewish people sinned with the golden calf, and they complained about the food. They complained about the manna. They complained about this. They fought about this. They cried about the spies and their report. It was constant issues. Moshe prayed for all of them except for one, Korach. What happened to Korach? Why didn't Moshe pray for Korach? Let Hashem, please forgive him. He didn't. Because that's the danger of communism. You need to have nothing to do with it. It's pure evil, but it's packaged in this rationalization that it's going to be good for all mankind. So I know this broadcast is going to go on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all these. I might get some hate, but you know what? We're in the chapter where we're talking about falsehood. We have to identify a falsehood, right? We can't take the shades and just block ourselves from it. You should know that the rationalization of all people are drawn by their traits. Shekol adam nishach b'svorosav achar midosav ha'otzel yasakol svorosav achar atzlos v'chein hakasan achar kaso. So people rationalize their behavior. Someone who's lazy rationalizes laziness. Someone who has a bad temper rationalizes his anger. No, he's wrong, and he has to learn, and I have to teach him, and I have to, right? So in their anger, they rationalize their negative traits. Someone who has arrogance and is haughty rationalizes his haughtiness and his arrogance. And all of the traits that we talked about before, there's a way for a person to rationalize and justify what it is that he's doing, even though it's wrong. Oh, I rationalized it. It's okay. Lefi hamida sheyesh bo hu oses sforos. Based on the traits that one has, they rationalize. Hapazron al hapazronos, hatzaikon es al hatzaikanos, haohev lefi ahavoso, hasona lefi sinaso. He says everyone draws their own rationalization to what they're doing. The rationalization of the extravagant is drawn by his extravagance. Oh, you know why I should buy this yacht? Because, and they justify it with whatever. And you know why I should drive this car? Because, again, we have to talk about each trait on its own merits or lack thereof. But, the miserly man rationalizes his miserliness, the lover by his love, the hater by his hate. Therefore, lefikach adam sherotz lios isha Elohim amiti, anyone who wishes to be a true man of Hashem, tzorich lahasir tchila mimenu kol amidos hagros. The first thing, if you want to be a godly person, you need to rid yourself of all your defective traits. You need to cleanse yourself from your bad traits. Kidei shelo timshacheu hamida sheyesh bo lefi inyana, so that you not draw to the direction of your flawed trait. And only when you remove that trait will you be able to attain pure truth. So if we can just bring this to our own lives, we have to understand that we all have our own prejudices. We have things that we want, things that we are drawn to, and we can rationalize it in every way possible. Unless we identify that this is like, imagine someone who's having a challenge in their relationship. So they go to a therapist, and the therapist says, something, perhaps you should improve in this way. Perhaps this will help your relationship. No, I'm right, and I'm doing it because I'm right. And everyone has their rationalizations of why they do certain things. So they're not willing to hear. They're not willing to change. They're not willing to accept. So we have to become a little bit vulnerable to correct that trait. And then we'll see that it was just a rationalization. How many times when we admit that perhaps I was wrong, we say, I was rationalizing. I was trying to just avoid feeling guilty. And this is a problem. There are 9 categories of liars. The first type of falsehood or lying that exists is one who denies his fellow man's deposit or loan, or who testifies falsely, or many other similar cases like this. What is it? Makrish ba'amito bepikadon o b'halva o shemeid sheker v'kahina rabba. So someone takes out a loan. He says, I never borrowed from you. He doesn't say, I returned it. I never borrowed to begin with. V'kahina rabba, and many such types of examples. V'yesh b'zeh sheker shnei anoshim. There are 2 different punishments for such type of ha'echad machmas ha'sheker. First is because he lied, because of the falsehood. And then the second is ki ha'sheker af belo nezek hu to'avas Hashem yisbarach. Shenemar sheish heina sonei Hashem v'sheva to'avos nafsho. Einayim ramos lashon sheker yofim kizovim at sheker umeshaleach madonim bein achim. So he brings a verse here from Proverbs that these 6 Hashem hates, and the 7th is an abomination of his soul. Haughty eyes, a lying tongue, etc., 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 etc. And then a false witness spouting lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. So the first thing is we need to know that there is the falsehood itself doesn't sit well with God. The fact that someone is able to say something which is false, which is not true, that is a complete separation from Hashem, a complete distance. Hashem is truth. By the way, we talk about truth. We talked about this previously in the chapter, in the Gate of Truth, truthfulness. We mentioned that the letters of the word emet, which is truth, are all letters with two legs, because truth stands forever. But also, the first letter of the alphabet is aleph, the middle is mem, and the last is taf, because it's stability. It will last from the beginning of time till the end of time. Truth, you don't have to make up anything. Just the truth. It is the truth. Because you don't have to remember what I said last time. If you just are committed to the truth, then everything works out. Falsehood, you always have to find a way to keep it standing. Sheker, the shin, the kuf, and the resh are all the end of the alphabet, but they also only have one leg, because eventually it will fall. Falsehood eventually collapses. It will collapse at the end. God, being the creator of heaven and earth, who exists before time and after time, can only exist because he is truth. What's the name of Hashem? Hashem Elokechem Emet. What is the name of Hashem? Truth. Hashem only survives because of his truth. That's what Hashem, that's his essence. When we depart from that, we're departing from Hashem. We're departing from Hashem. And this is the challenge. It's like when someone lies, what they're doing is they're just distancing and pushing themselves away from God. And what does God say? I hate the mouth that is deceptive. Also from Proverbs. What's the second punishment? The second is the damage that incurred to his fellow man by his lie. So it means there's two things. First is because you distance yourself from God, you sort of contradicted the existence of God. God being the God of truth. Hashem Elokechem Emet. Hashem is truth. And now a person speaks falsehood. So that's number one. The second is that you cause somebody else damage. When you say a lie, whether it being bearing false witness, whether it be saying something that isn't true about someone else that now caused a fight, caused a separation, caused a disagreement, caused someone sorrow, caused someone pain, all because of a lie. That's the second punishment that one will have from speaking falsehood. So this concludes day number 119.
You've been listening to Rabbi Aryeh Wolbe on a podcast produced by Torch, the Torah Outreach Resource Center of Houston. Please help sponsor an episode so we can continue to produce more quality Jewish content for our listeners around the globe. Please visit torchweb.org to donate and partner with us on this incredible endeavor.